Welcome back, everybody. Alright, so I asked you guys to submit your assumptions about college, and I'm going to be answering them right now. So all your wildest questions are going to be answered. You're welcome. And also, I just want to put this out there. This is according to like my college experience, which obviously has been a little bit different because of COVID, so I'm not sure if that's going to change anything. So if you're a college student and you're like, that's totally not right, this is according to just what I know and what I've experienced. So without further ado, let's get started. I've got a bunch of them right here. Okay, the first one, dad, my dad put it, and it just says, you never call your dad. And this is so passive. Dad, I call you. I call my mom, and I call Rylan, and I call, like, the twins. But, like, I never really call my dad because, I don't know, like, you always just call your mom. Look, he never calls me either, okay? It's not just me not calling him. And I call him, I text him when I need things, you know, like when I'm questioning like taxes and stuff like that. He knows all those answers, so just saying. That assumption's probably true though. I'll give him that. Okay, there was a ton of questions just being like, it's harder than high school, like that. Yes. I think it is, and I'm not sure people are really talking more about like academically or socially, but in all realms, I would say it's harder than high school. For my school in particular, academics are way harder than high school, and I went to a pretty challenging high school. I took a lot of APs, and I would say that the classes are pretty on par with AP like classes, like workload and tests and stuff like that, except for you're expected to do a lot more on your own. In high school APs, they kind of give it to you. I have found though that one class I took was AP Psych, and the AP class, or the psych class I'm in right now, it's Psych 375. It's an upper level psych. It is pretty much the same thing. So I would say that those AP classes are pretty on par with college classes. But it also depends on the school you go to. I know like when the twins and I compare our college school and academic and homework load and stuff, it's completely different. So it kind of depends on where you go. But I would say in general, college is harder than high school. The one thing that is not true though, this is something that I found, is in high school, they're always like, oh yeah, your professors will never let you get away with this, like stuff like that. And in general, I found professors are way nicer than like high school teachers. Again, there's always a few professors, trust me, there's always a few. But for the majority, like professors, I feel like care about their students a lot, and they know that you're dealing with a lot, and college is a lot to handle, so they're willing to work with you on a lot of things. But there is also a higher level of responsibility. You're held to a higher standard once you're in college. Okay, assumption. It's a long walk to get to some classes. Depends on where you live. For the majority, if you're living near campus, it's not that far of a walk. To get to most of my classes, it's like a 13-minute walk, but I don't live on campus, I live off campus. If you're living on campus, it's pretty close. I would say probably like 5 minutes max. College students always study at a coffee shop. True. I would say that's pretty true. You just are studying so much, you get so bored of studying in the library. And for my school, the library is definitely more of a social spot. So if you go to the library, you're probably gonna end up talking to people and not actually studying. A coffee shop is much more of a place where people go to actually study, and there's a ton of them here, and they're always full. True. That's a true assumption. I'm never going to make time to cook. If you want it to be a priority, it will be. That's what I'm gonna say there. Yeah, I guess it just depends. Like for me, and you find what works. I'm pretty busy, so like making 3 meals a day is like really tough for me, but luckily like my roommates and I, we kind of have a schedule where we all kind of cook, and so there's always food. You can make it work, but you definitely will not have as much time to cook as you did at home. Just get used to not having as fancy meals. For sure. Find a family. You can go to Sunday dinner somewhere. That's the other thing, is you get invited to lots of Sunday dinners. I do, at least. I have a different place to go every Sunday for a home cooked meal, which is awesome. Assumption. People judge others more than high school. False. High school, it's like a little bubble, guys. Like you're with the same people all the time, 24/7. I'm not sure if like less judgment happens, but it's less like consistent judgment. Because you might see somebody and you're like, oh, like I'm gonna judge them, whatever. You're never gonna see them again. So it's just like, doesn't really matter. It's just not worth your time. But people watching is really fun to do on a college campus. So I'm not sure if that's judging people, but just watching people and their interactions, so fascinating to me. I'm gonna go with false for that one. Assumption, you meet your lifetime friends there. I would say that's pretty true. My mom and my dad both still talk to their college roommates. What I've found is you're kind of taken away from your family. Everybody is, and you're put into like a new environment with new people. You're living with new people, and like you have to create your own family. And so like your roommates become your siblings, and your friends become like, you become closer with them, like as close as you are with them to like your actual family. And like I found a lot of instances where professors like kind of step in like a parent, and it's really really cool dynamic because it's all these strangers, but you're as close to them as your actual family, and it's super cool. Assumption: is college always about parties and other stuff? No. People who are going to school with the desire to get an education is going to put a larger emphasis on education than parties. There are lots of parties that happen. If you want to just party, you can make that happen. At any school you go to, there's going to be lots of parties, and you could probably go to every single one of them. The majority of kids, though, do not go to parties consistently. It's smaller parties. It's like your roommates and like your neighbors and stuff like that. Next assumption: everybody struggles in STEM courses no matter how hard they study. True. This is definitely true. STEM classes are very difficult, and they do that on purpose. They do that to kind of narrow down who actually wants to be through the program, to go through the program. You really have to narrow it down to the best of the best, and you're kind of put in a group with the top students, and you can be an A student, but because you're competing against all other A students, it might make you a D student just because you're not the top A student. So it's kind of frustrating because you can work super hard and still not get a good grade, but I think the program is designed so that they know that, and they're not necessarily just looking for the A student, and there's a lot more to show graduate schools and things like that isn't just your GPA. So if you just kind of keep going through it, work hard, it'll work out. Next is the best years of school, but also very hard. This is definitely true. I think in a way everybody is so stressed that like the social life is just so fun, and you're kind of like, you know that feeling when you're so tired that you're just like delirious? It's kind of like that constantly. It just really is the best. You have so much freedom to do whatever you want to do, and it's kind of the only time in your life where you get to do whatever you want to do. And that's what is so interesting to me about college, is everybody is there for themselves, and it's like everybody makes decisions based on what's best for them. So it's like they might transfer, or they might switch majors, or move out, and like it's just so interesting how everybody is kind of there just to do their own thing. It's just, I don't know, I find it super interesting. Next, it's constant stress and burnout. True. Unfortunately, scientifically, there's something called your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous system. They pretty much just proved that college students run on their sympathetic nervous system, which just means that they're just going, and then they hit this point where they just can't stay there anymore, and then that's called burnout, is when you're just like stuck in parasympathetic and you can't do anything, you can't get motivated. But for the majority of college students, all 4 years are running on their sympathetic nervous system. They're just constantly doing the next thing. Like you finish an exam, okay, next exam, okay, party, you know, whatever is going, internship, school. I mean, there's just so much to think about. You just don't have a time to really relax ever. And when you are relaxing, it's like you're still doing stuff. Like you're still with friends, or like watching a movie, or going shopping. Like you're still doing activities. So it's definitely just a lot. Assumption: you can have lots of all-nighters and fun with roommates. True. It's pretty much just like living with your best friends and like going to camp, like a summer camp, but like the whole year. Assumption: single girls get bullied. False. Not true at all. Everybody is single at some point in their life, so I don't know why it makes sense to really bully anybody. But honestly, the single life is the best life, and you can have a lot of fun with a lot of single people. Assumption: from a European perspective, it looks way easier and with a lighter schedule. False. For sure. It is such a heavy schedule. You're just constantly doing things. It's crazy. So that's false in every way. School just takes up a lot of time. Assumption: you eat instant noodles every day. False. I've only had ramen once this entire year. Maybe mac and cheese twice. But if you ask me how many Kodiak waffles I've had, then that would be a lot. Hopefully that answered some of your questions about college, your assumptions. A lot of you guys had a pretty good idea of what college is like. It's a lot of stress, but it's also a lot of fun, and it is worth it. But everybody kind of has to do their own thing. So if college isn't for you, then make the best of it. And if it is, then also make the best of it. So there's just so many different ways you can take your life. I don't know. You'll end up where you're supposed to be in the end. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this. Maybe you saw your question in there. That'd be pretty cool. And maybe I'll do another one of these soon. So see you guys later. Bye.